Hey everybody, Jay Weidner here. Kind of an unusual setup here. We've never really gone live before, and so I'm having a party at my house with some pretty interesting people, and we thought we'd do a live show and test out this whole thing. We're talking here with my good buddy Christopher O'Brien, author of Stalking the Herd, Mysterious Valley, Exit the Valley. I can't remember all your books, man.
Stalking the Tricksters.
That's right. He's a investigative journalist. He is a high woo investigator looking into all sorts of the weird things that have happened in the infamous San Luis Valley of Southern Colorado. How you doing, Chris?
Kind of dealing with the altitude, Jay. First time ever, really, that I'm having to move a little bit slower and more methodically.
8,000 feet is pretty high.
Yeah. Well, I've been much higher.
I've been a lot higher too. So, Chris, you got a project that you're doing here in the valley.
Well, around the world.
Yeah, around the world. Tell us about it, because it's really interesting.
Yeah, when I first came here in 1989, I thought, man, so much has to go on here, and it's like if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody here nobody there to listen, it doesn't make any noise. And I really wanted to record the noise. And so I started, looking at all the different options that somebody would have in the, late 80s to monitor the airspace, and scientifically monitor the different energy fields and gravity and other things. How much would it cost? And to do it correctly here, it would have cost easily $1 million. Now, today, fast forward, 30 plus years, we're looking at a cost of entry level cost of like $400 that you can start to scientifically monitor your particular place where you live and be connected via the internet with other monitoring operations around the world. And UFODAP is really taken off. We never really considered SkyHub to be competition. They were more of an open source, do-it-yourself Heathkit type operation. But unfortunately, they've decided to not go further developing and supporting their products. UFODAP, we're already in 4 different countries, and
so what are you doing? What was exactly?
Well, first of all, we're making sure that everybody's equipment is properly installed, and then we really need to get baseline data for the monitoring equipment, whether it's the recording magnetometers or the gravimeters, the accelerometers. We have a radio frequency spectrum analyzer. You can even get a special camera that has a blaze grating, which allows you at night to separate the light into its constituent spectra. And there's a lot of technology that's involved here, but it's a turnkey, and you really don't need that much, of an engineering or scientific background to be able to operate the equipment. So the software at the heart of the system is really what, that's.
And so you're looking for high weirdness, is what you're looking for.
We're looking for anything that's going to generate scientific data that may not conform to what science would normally expect. Right. And so if we get some aberrant events and then are able to duplicate and get, repeated events, which is the ultimate goal of science, right. The scientific method, then we're going to be able to really write our own ticket. As we've talked about, Jay, the last couple of years, 3 years, there's been such an upwelling of excitement. There's been the establishment of some real relevance and gravitas about the UFO subject, and it's obvious that the government is trying to get in, drive the narrative, get ahead of the narrative of the whole thing, because they want to regain control. They do not have control of the conversation right now. Right. And I think we're going to see them. I'm sure right now they're scrambling to figure out what mind-blowing stuff can we release to be in the driver's seat that won't compromise, areas of national security, or, I mean, there's all kinds of paranoid, classified, departmental, administrative, paper-pushing, petty tyrants out there that want, that want their own fiefdom, classified fiefdom. Right. And I think we're beyond that. I think the core warriors, for the most part, have died out. I think we're into a whole new generation of politicians, engineers, physicists. These people grew up with Star Trek. They grew up with an automatic knee-jerk assumption that, we're not alone in the universe. Anybody that has any amount of intelligence, the odds of us being the only, intelligent life form, it's quadrillions to one against.
I agree.
So whether these other beings out there coming here to visit us, I have serious reservations about that being the case. But I really think that we're emerging into a wonderful new, I think, era of acceptance. We're not going to have to deal with the whistling the Twilight Zone theme at the end of the local news broadcast. I think once, Smithsonian, Nature, the New York Times, go down the list of your iconic, stodgy, establishment media outlets. We're beyond that now. The gray lady, she finally went down, and it actually started. That first article that was positive was the night before the citizens hearing 5-day thing happened in 2012, and that was the first time that the New York Times devoted column inches to a subject that they had normally ridiculed.
Right.
And I think we're at a point now where people like James Fox and his wonderful film Phenomenon,
great film,
which I was so proud to be a part of.
Yeah.
And now his new film in Bohemia, which was the one of the most, I think, important iconic cases in the 90s. Craft crashes. There's dead aliens and live aliens. One is injured, another escapes. Bohemia police or fire department was able to collect the wounded or injured alien, and the guy who had it sit on his lap ended up dying just days later. And there was some talk of NASA actually sending people down to appropriate crash material and possibly the beings. What's cool about this is it's not Roswell. You're not talking about the grandkids saying, well, that's what grandpa told us. These people were alive.
Right. I assume.
Yeah. I mean, it was 1996. Right. And I remember I was speaking at one of my very first conferences I spoke at, and both John Carpenter and Stanton Friedman were incredibly jazzed because they had both gone down there separately to Bohemia right after the event. And they said, something happened down here. This is the real deal. And I know James has been down 3 or 4 times already and gotten some incredible stuff from people who have never spoke publicly. And he just teased everybody with a Facebook post, I think this morning, about finding somebody and getting threatened. And I mean, it gets real cloak and dagger down.
So he's making his next film about
it's about his full feature length about Bohemia. And like I said, I think it's his 3rd or 4th trip down there.
Right.
And each trip he's meeting more people and uncovering more information and sources and stuff. So I'm supposedly in October going to go up there and help him kill off his babies. I'm the baby killer. I go in when it's 2 hours and
tell him what to eject.
It's 30 minutes.
So you're like his editing buddy. Does he get mad at you?
He argues, but
I like James a lot.
And he feels strongly enough about it. He'll win. But I've been able to micro edit stuff down, so it still works, but you're losing time. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's an important function for post-production.
But it makes everything tighter. He is a real natural tight filmmaker.
Yeah, he is.
And he's a very, very, very good editor and writer. And
yeah, no, we spent hours together talking filmmaking.
Yeah,
great guy. Really like him.
Yeah, and I'm his biggest fan, and I was so gratified that not only did I get an associate producer credit, but I also got an extra thank you for coming in and killing his babies.
Yeah, so the film is phenomenal. It's a UFO film. It's out now, I think, on Netflix.
No, I don't think it's on Netflix.
Oh no, it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Yeah,
Prime.
Amazon Prime. Great film.
It was the #1 documentary last year.
Yeah, it really broke a lot of the barriers that are going on right now with the UFO field.
Yeah, it was a 7-year process.
Yeah.
I really have to admire all the gray hair that the process produced.
Really, making a film is one hell of a process.
Making that film with
I'm sure
the partners
he aged quite a bit in making that film.
Yeah, well, he's really excited about this Wahina piece, and I can't wait. I've seen a lot of the interview footage that ended up being, on the floor for Phenomenon. There wasn't one South American case. There wasn't one Chinese case, and he did 2-3 trips to China. So he's got a lot. He's sitting on a lot of good material, man.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I tried to get him to do a 10-part miniseries, and it was just, it was too soon after getting slam dunked. He was supposed to. Phenomenon was supposed to come out in 1,500 theaters. It would have been the first wide release documentary on UFOs ever. And it would have kicked ass. It would have been disclosure. That would have been considered disclosure. And of course, COVID happened, and we had to go to a straight, streaming release, which
really hurt.
It did. Everybody got paid. His investors got paid back, and he was able to move. He's in Vermont now, and kind of close to me, actually, next state over. I really like working with him because he wears his heart on his sleeve, and it's really easy to it's a pleasure knowing where somebody is coming from.
Yeah, no,
he has no artifice at all in him. What you see is what you got, and I really like that about James.
So if people want to donate to your project, can they?
UFODAP, yes, we do have a GoFundMe site, ufodap.com, and it right now we're kind of swallowing the competition, I guess. UFO Data, which was Mark Rodiger, Alexander Wendt, I think Rob Switek, Leslie Kane, but they were going to do something similar to what UFODAP was, modular electronic sensing systems. And when they realized that we beat them to the punch, and we already, we're beyond the prototype stage, and even
if people want to donate to your project,
they were nowhere near that. So we agreed with them that what we would do is concentrate all our efforts on the hardware part, and the software to obviously to operate the hardware, but all the results of the stuff that we're going to be collecting all over the world, let UFO Data be in charge of vetting it, analyzing it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So it's a division of talents, and these guys are PhDs, and they're tenured academics, and when you're talking about data, it's always good to have guys with alphabets after their names to deal with all that,
Definitely.
And
gives you credibility.
So what I'm going to be doing, ideally, is pushing, presenting the project and promoting it, but also, sort of developing systems to integrate everything, so that we have a a turnkey sort of, you know, laissez-faire, hands off, just let the system do its thing.
So it's basically just cameras watching an area and
Triangulated camera arrays,
triangulated
right,
cameras, right?
with recording magnetometers, gravitometers, accelerometers, radio frequency spectrum analyzers,
Wow.
tri-field meters. I have a whole design for a pulsed active radar system. It would not be spreading radar all over.
Right.
It would be just shooting out a window and,
Focus.
you know, have the pedestal, which gets the same coordinate data as the cameras,
Right.
and they're zipping around and, you know, pan, tilt, zoom. The platform will do the same thing, and that radar unit will be painting the object, but through a dampened down system, so you're not alerting the powers that be.
Right.
I'm not sure we're still exploring the legalities of a system like this, but
Right.
I definitely think I can get away with it here in the valley because there is no radar. Bergman Field does not have radar, so they have transponders detection, but not radar. So you know, that's you know, people call me a ufologist, and I really get angry and say, please do call me that. I do not want to be lumped in with those people.
Yeah.
But if I was a ufologist, I'd be working on a project like UFODEF.
For sure. Makes total sense.
Yeah,
Get the data.
exactly. Well, that's the next stage of the dance, you know.
Well, Chris, thanks for joining us on our live show tonight.
Hey, it's great being here.
Yeah.
I just
Looking forward to spending the next couple of days with you.
yeah, I hope my liquid oxygen gives me a little extra
I do
boost
too.
up here.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't you go in and tell Rex to come in. Hey, everybody. So we're here on our live special. And that was Chris O'Brien, the great Chris O'Brien, who's written many books about the San Luis Valley and the high weirdness there. And he's one of the kings of woo. You might say one of the originators, actually, of woo.
In the land of woo.
Yeah, in the land of woo.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's just about as wooey as you can get.
That's for sure. And so we're going to have Rex Bear, the Leak Project, coming up next. And that should be good because Rex, of course, travels all over the country and does all these incredible videos and he's very knowledgeable.
He's a captive audience for the next 3 days.
Yeah, we're going to be traveling with Rex and going around the San Luis Valley, looking at all the weird stuff. And hopefully I'll be able to download some of that onto Reality Check. And so next up is Rex Bear, and this should be interesting. It's going to be a little clumsy though. Yeah. And so we're going to continue these live shows here on Reality Check over the next for a while now. It's a new experiment that we're doing, and you know, forgive us for the technical difficulties. All this is really new to us. I've been pre-recording everything before because I was actually kind of scared to go live because I thought I might say something that would get me kicked off the platforms, but we're going to do it. I got an assistant here. Thank him, Mac. He's my assistant helping me. He's from India and is really a top-notch guy. And I don't know where Rex is, but hopefully he'll be here soon. And close the door on him. All right. So anyway, I've got a whole bunch of new shows coming, and we're going to be exploring all sorts of different subjects, from alchemy to the Cardidev scale to all sorts of stuff, and having all sorts of people that are very interested in us. And I'm trying to keep this going because I don't know where Rex is. And well, let's see, what can I talk about? So we had Robert Phoenix on last week, and we're going to have Scott Stevens, who's the weatherman from hell, on probably next week, I think. And he's going to be talking about chemtrails and weather manipulation, geoengineering, that kind of thing. And I think you'll like that one. Still wondering where Rex Bear is. Rex! Rex, come on. So Rex is crazy, of course. He runs Leak Project, travels all over the country in his van, and is a really, really interesting guy. And I'm trying to figure out where he is. Rex! Here he comes.
All right. Hello.
He's got his own thing going here.
So right here?
Right there.
Right here?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Cool.
What you got there?
This is actually, I was going to go live as well. And I was going to tell everybody, come check us out over on the Reality Check channel.
Fantastic.
So yeah, absolutely, man. This is such a nice studio. This is way nicer than my studio. I live in a van though, sometimes, down by the river.
Yeah.
So.
This is Rex Bear, the Leak Project.
Hey.
Awesome show he's got on YouTube. Travels all over the country, interviewing everybody. Really good interviews. If you want to catch a great show, definitely watch the Leak Project with Rex Bear. Fantastic. I watch every show you produce.
Checks in the mail. Thank you for the kind words, man. You're so awesome. I love you. This is great,
too.
Man. This is so cool.
So what are you doing these days besides traveling around with Chris O'Brien in the San Luis Valley?
Well, we've been doing a lot of stuff in the Grand Canyon lately, man.
Yes, you have.
And
we got stuff.
We got followed out of there.
KKK, you did?
We did.
Wow.
We got followed out by.
Tell me more.
So I think they were Department of Defense, like DIA.
Mhm.
They looked like they were in their mid to late 20s. I was with my friends Jared Murphy and Sean Dell, is this really cool Navajo guy.
Right.
And we went out to this location, which was in the it was in the Marble Canyon.
Yeah.
And so we took this trail, 4-wheel drive trail. We made it to the rim, and I got some great footage of what looks like a cave that kind of caved in on itself. And then we dropped Jared back off at the Navajo Bridge that evening, and it was dark when we dropped him off. And there was these 3 dudes standing outside of their car, and they looked like college dudes, right? Like they just got back from. And then I noticed, we go around and park because it's a circular parking lot. So we go around like this, we're about 35 feet away. We park. It's dark. They're the only other car there. And we're just talking for about 15, 20 minutes. And we noticed that they're just listening to us at this time. They're not doing anything. But listening. And then so we just keep talking, and then we're like, okay, well, we're going to take off. And then when we said that, they get in their car, but then we keep talking. And then we start walking towards our cars a few minutes later, and then they start driving off, but then they stop because we didn't get in their cars yet. Right. And then once we get in our cars and drive off, then they drove off, but I actually did a circle around to get behind them, and then they took off real quick to the left. But we think it might have something to do with the amount of uranium out there, not the Kincaid cave, not the artifacts, but the amount of uranium and the deposits of radioactive material out there. It's a lot.
Well, you think that you might be collecting uranium out there? Or?
Well, maybe, I don't know. I mean, or maybe they're seeing like if we're finding uncovering stuff that maybe we shouldn't. Maybe there's certain deposits out there that they don't want people to know about, or maybe there's certain dump sites they don't want people to know about. So I think they're just kind of keeping an eye on us because clearly you can listen to you on your phone, right? I mean, your phone is the ultimate bug. So they could listen to us 24/7 on the phone. They probably do. So I'm thinking, why are they going to be, who are these guys are going to have to waste their time and money to, because clearly they're getting paid to watch us at that specific point. And the uranium thing makes the most sense to me as of right now. Right.
There's a lot of uranium there.
A lot.
And gold.
And gold. And yeah, man. And we were talking about these cataclysmic events, right? There is evidence, I think, in the Grand Canyon specific of these cataclysmic events.
Oh yeah. It's a lightning strike.
Yeah.
Like the lightning strike from hell.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And did that kind of help create does that help create the uranium and the minerals?
It could.
I think it does.
Really good point. In alchemy, that's what they say. Mm-hmm. And so you look at the at patterns of minerals in the ground, and they follow. Miners will tell you this, that they know where to take a left and a right because it follows like a lightning pattern.
Yeah,
it's like a tree or a branching pattern, and they can follow the gold this way and that way, and the silver this way, and And you're like, well, wait a minute, is this from like a plasma strike or something, and creating these minerals in the ground like that? And it's like, what is it?
Mhm.
You know, we don't know.
We
We don't know, but we know that alchemy says that you can transmute metals.
Mhm.
So is that what's going on? High degrees of plasma and electricity transmute metals, and I think they do actually.
Yeah, I do too, because I think there's enough evidence to show that. And also, we were going to these places that you could see markings that look like Templar markings.
Yeah.
And I found some in Arizona, in
Yeah.
Tucson, Arizona, of all places.
Really?
And yeah, and then when we were in Utah in Fry Canyon, not only did I see evidence of possible the Templars, these specific crosses, but also we found a petroglyph of a sailboat at 6,000 feet elevation that looked kind of like a Viking sailboat petroglyph. Now, what in the heck is a petroglyph of a Viking sailboat doing at 6,000 feet elevation?
Right. And you know what the Native American name for Mount Rushmore was?
No.
Six Kings. If you look at Viking, VI King, it's the mountain of six kings.
Wow.
And it's like, what is going on here? There's actually evidence of other faces that have been carved into Mount Rushmore before the presidents were carved in there. So you wonder if they didn't even like cover up something by
Yeah.
putting in the president's faces
Mhm.
to hide something else that might have been there, like evidence of higher civilizations and all sorts of things.
Right, right. And don't you like it when they say it's so easy?
But horseback, horses and carriages and slaves.
Yeah,
And it's impossible.
man. And I think that you are in such a perfect spot. This area is so sacred, and you can feel
Yes.
the energy. Like
can.
you can totally tell.
Yeah.
Why did you pick here? Just
I was working at Gaia in 2012. I was running the production, and I was super doomy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
As of 2012.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the world's going to destroy. So I opened up a map of Colorado. I was in Boulder, and I said, "Where's the safest dang place to move?" And I searched for like 5 days, and I finally found a place that had one way in and one way out with a mountain
yeah.
behind it, backing it. And I thought there, a community could actually protect themselves,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so we went down here, and Sharon, my wife, is from New York, not a country girl at all.
Right,
I'm totally country,
right.
and I was really worried she wouldn't like it. And then she saw the spiritual centers,
Yeah,
so then she was hooked. So then I got her to move down here. But I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. But we got here before the crisis hit, and man, am I glad.
yeah, yeah. And I was talking folks that are watching the live stream also. We were talking about these cataclysms, these 400-year cycles,
Right.
And I think that it's imperative that people know about this and the synchronicity that we had out there.
Yeah.
When you showed me your book, and
Yeah.
then I said, "Well, wait a second." And you said the petroglyph,
Right.
and I was like, "Well, I've got the Parat paper in the Jeep,"
You do.
and I brought it into you. It's like
Yeah.
this major connection that we just had there.
Yep.
So Great Reset. There's been a whole plethora of news articles about the internet's going to be shut down if there's a solar storm that happens.
Yep.
And I've been thinking that they are prepping us for either pulling the plug themselves because they want to control information, or because they know of a solar event that's going to take place. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're right. I think they're going to pull the plug, and I think that they know that
We have to
the solar storm is coming, and it's what the secret space program is about. It's what the DUMBs are. It's all these different mechanisms for them to get away from it when it happens. And they've got a number of scenarios that they're working. And what's really interesting is the book that I based my book on, which is Mystery of the Cathedrals, which came out in the late 1950s, is exactly when they began going into their panic. Early 60s is when they started NASA. They began the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases, drilling. Everything began right after this book came out, talking about the cross of Henday and the fact that there's this 400-year cycle of solar storms and that we're overdue. And so I think that we know the OSS, the precursor to the FBI, or to the CIA, was looking for Fulcanelli, the alchemist, in France at the end of World War II. Why would an intelligence agency be interested in a guy who claims that he can change lead into gold? Right? Because that's not what they're after. They're after the guy because he has real, true knowledge about an event that's coming, and they wanted to find out what that event was. And so then they reprinted the book in 57, and they added this chapter on the cross of Henday, causing the panic that has been ensuing ever since.
Now, you were telling me earlier that every 400 years you've been able to link a civilization collapse.
Yeah.
So, and you were able to go back to Rome.
Rome was 400 AD, right? Yep. And you look at the collapse of the Middle East at 0, time of Jesus. Right, then 400, Rome collapses. Then 800, there's another collapse. And 1200, another collapse. 1600, another collapse. And now we're in 2000. So the collapse is they know it. Whoever built the cross of Henday is a member of a secret society, holding knowledge and passing it from generation to generation. And that knowledge is the sun has a burp, and when it burps, we all catch the cold.
Now, so you're convinced it's going to be a solar event then, from the sun?
There's no way around it. Even Robert Schoch has dictated it in one of his Lost Civilization, I think it's called, the book. He's a Boston University scientist, and he actually attended one of my lectures on the cross of Henday, and then he started looking into all this to see if this was right, and he came back and said there's absolute evidence that the Younger Dryas was a solar flare, stopped the Younger Dryas, the ice age, and ended it. And he said all through, you can look at isotopes and you can see that there's this continuous cycle. And what I think it is the sun builds up because the equator of the sun revolves slower than the poles. I think there's an entwining of electromagnetic energy, which at 400 years reaches its maximum, causes supertension, and then causes these plasma flares to flare out and hits the first 4 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And that's all the valleys of these huge valleys, right? Huge canyons on all 4 of those planets, and they all look like lightning strikes, whether it's Mars or Mercury or Venus or the Earth, Grand Canyon. And I think that that's what this is. I think that during this every 400 years, the sun starts letting out these huge plasma streaks, and we get hit by them.
Do you have any evidence that would suggest that there could be another planetary body that had to do with this 400 cycle, or
I don't know if it's another planetary body, but I do believe that when there's close flybys of the planets like Mars or Venus, I think that that's another time when the charges happen. The electrical strikes between the 2 planets occur, because the whole space is filled with ionized particles. So it's all electric, and so it's just like two nodes get next to each other, and then there's a lightning strike between them. That's what planets are. They're nodes, and the lightning passes between them, and it's a normal thing. It's why the ancients always talked about, oh no, Mars is getting close. This is going to be a bad time, right? The same thing with comets, right? Comets get too close, and they also cause these plasma events. The big plasma event, though, is the one between the sun and our planet. That's the one we have to worry about the most.
And we were also talking about how when the sun burps, it doesn't hit the whole Earth.
No,
it's hit bits and pieces.
That's right. That's why until we had mass communication, the Southwest of the United States could have gotten hit, and thousands of people killed and everything, and people in Europe, we don't know about that,
Right.
So you don't know, right? You might have heard it though, because that's the other thing is I heard. Well, actually, I think it was Diamond said that the thunderclap would have been so loud that you would have made everybody go deaf, right? That were nearby when it hit, right? So, it's like, and we're headed to that period again. And I think the elites know it. And that's what the Great Reset is. They know that they're headed towards this time period, and they don't really know what to do except hunker down and maybe try to get rid of as many people as possible so that we don't come after them, which is another thing they're worried about. They're really worried about Paris 1789.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really worried about that right now.
I wonder if that's why I keep looking at the France card from the Illuminati card deck from Steve Jackson games. I kept looking at it. I'm like, why am I keep interesting connection there, man?
Yeah, they're worried about that. They're worried about us, grabbing our pitchforks and torches and coming at them.
Wow. So 10, 20 years? You think it's going to happen in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think 10, 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, enjoy your life.
Enjoy it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the number one thing.
Wow. Fascinating.
All right, Rex. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
You.
I really appreciate you coming over to my house and all that.
Oh, man, you are so cool. Folks, this has just been a real honor to be here. Beautiful house, beautiful setup here. We've got 500 people in the live chat right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're all amazing. Check out Reality Check, Jay Weidner. And what's the name of your book again? I want to get a copy of this.
Mysteries of the Great Cross of Hendon. I'll give you a copy.
Yes. Okay.
Alchemy at the End of Time.
Alchemy at the End of Time. Excellent. Be excellent to each other, everybody. Be the change you want to see.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Rex.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go get the other two guys.
You're legend of legends.
You're the legend. What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm a legend in my own mind. Not a legend like you, man.
That was Rex Bear of the Leak Project. Awesome show. If you haven't checked it out, you should, because it's amazing. And Rex is a good guy. Now we're going to be bringing on two more people here. And we're going to be talking about an incredible product called C60, which is a longevity product. They did a C60 is a graphite, and they did an experiment in France where they had a control group of mice where they didn't give them any C60, and they had another control group of mice that they gave C62, and mice are supposed to be dead by the time they're like 2.5 years old. Well, the group that was taking the C60 kept going way beyond the bounds of the experiment, and proving that the stuff really does, cause people to live a lot longer. And I think it's an incredible product anyway. So are we getting them? Ken Swartz, the tall guy. Yeah. Anyway, this is our live version. It's probably a little clumsy. I don't know how this is coming off, but doing our best. Got people that are actually helping me finally to produce Reality Check, and it's been a real pleasure. And well, I hope you guys are enjoying it. I really don't know how this is coming off, to be honest with you. There he is.
I'm loud, so you can probably sit closer to him.
Yeah, but Max, you get to go there. I'll go over here.
Go this way. You guys kind of have to sit closer to each other.
Okay, you get the close one.
Yeah.
And I'll sit right here. Okay.
I'll sit closer
To Ken.
that way.
Oh, this way?
Yeah.
Oh, we got
way.
two
Yeah,
films.
all the
Okay.
way.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So just tell us if we're close enough.
Get off me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think you're close enough.
I need these things for my back. Getting old sucks.
Closer.
Actually, scooch over to the other side. Closer to Jay's house.
Okay. You know what? Right here?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want one of these?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, my back
I
needs
forgot
one of
your name.
these.
What is it?
Max.
Max Champy.
Max?
MAX. Yes, sir.
Maxwell Silverhammer.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we're here with Maxwell and with Ken, and they are the inventors of Purple Power.
And Live Longer Labs.
And Live Longer Labs, right? And Purple Power is a incredible C60 ingredient. And I was just telling them what about the French study. So why don't you tell them, because I didn't get very far in the story.
Yeah, it's the Botry study.
Yeah.
And basically,
Don't.
it's this happened in, I guess, early 2000s. And what it is, the C60 was discovered in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
It confirmed a long time scientific conjecture of the DIBS, deep interstellar bands, something between the stars was absorbing infrared bands, but it had to be a molecule because the band was so wide.
Right.
And so they actually, I think the Harry Croto, he knew what it was. He knew it was a Buckminster fullerene because he knew Buckminster, but he had to prove it.
Right.
And so Richard Smalley and Robert Curl, and there's two other guys that died whose names I don't remember because they didn't get the Nobel Prize in 1996. And so, and then it was really, really hard to make. And then finally in the early 2000s, Abatri, the French researcher, and there's like 6 or 7 people on the paper.
Right.
So it's just him. They decided they were going to test C60 on the extension of lifespan in animals. And what they did is they had C60 dissolved in olive oil. And then they took the rats and they like syringes and they shoved it down the rat's throat. Yeah. So they knew that they would be giving them a set amount of dose. And these are also Wister rats, which means like you blow on them and they keel over and die.
Right.
And so they had they usually would die of cancers or other degenerative diseases associated with aging. And so basically what they found is that it doubled the life, or 90% increased the lifespan of test animals. Wow. Except there wasn't a lot of rats, but the thing was that they're like they started the thing, they had the control rats, they had the rats that didn't get anything, and then they had another rats that got olive oil, and then they got olive oil and C60. And after all the control rats that didn't get either olive oil or C60 died, they stopped giving C60 to any of the rats, right? To the control rats. And they just kept living. And then all the rats that got olive oil died. And then there was like these C60 rats that kept living, except for there was like 2 rats that wouldn't die. And one day there was a terrible accident. And so you could publish after 5.5 years, it's time to publish your paper because the rats had lived so much longer.
Wait, the rats live 5 years?
Yeah, I think 5.5 years.
That's like 3, usually like 2 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're like
18 months to
especially Worcester rats because they're really weak. And so they said it increased their average lifespan of a Worcester rat by 90%.
Wow.
But since the ones died, it could easily have been double or more than that because they stopped giving C60 after the last control rat died.
Right.
So who knows how long they would have lived if they'd had C60 during their older ages.
So is there anything toxic about this?
Well, they tried that. They tried to poison rats with C60. They gave them 1 gram per kilogram.
Wow.
Which is, and that's like taking, it would be like, but of course you have to dissolve C60 in an oil. So that would be like taking like 1.5 liters a day of olive oil. So the rats were probably not very happy. I'm not sure how much was absorbed versus what went out the back end.
Right.
But there was no toxicity at any level. They were really healthy rats. They probably weren't happy rats. They were really healthy.
Right.
So there's no toxicity. Now, if you try to do that with vitamin D or vitamin E or maybe even vitamin C at that level, it probably would be fatal.
Yeah.
And so how come this isn't being outlawed?
Actually, they are trying to outlaw it.
Yeah.
But there's a problem, is because one of the things they found, if you look at your medications for people out there, you'll see HCl.
Right.
And that hydrochloric acid. So they basically add a hydrochloric acid to the drug so it can go through your digestive system and be absorbed in your intestines or through your stomach and the hydrochloric acid. They found that C60 can do the same thing. You can attach a ligand to the C60 and it will actually go through your digestive system. And so they have like dozens, hundreds, I don't know how many patents by big pharmaceuticals where they take their drugs, they take an attachment molecule, they stick it to the C60 molecule, and now it's like HCl. They just haven't released that on the market yet because not only does it make their drug more effective, but then all the downside poisoning from their drugs goes away. Right, so it's like a win-win situation for them. But they just haven't implemented that. But raw C60, like pure pristine C60, because it's a natural product made by giant red stars, lightning bolts, like in the burnt wick of your candle, like 0.25%. So it's a piece of nature. You can't patent nature, but you can patent genetic engineered things. Like if somebody was to change your DNA by some strange process, well, you just might be a product and not really a human anymore.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, we won't even mention that. But anyway.
Yeah. And so what did you do with all this? Are you one of the inventors of it, or?
Well, Ken and I worked for a think tank together, and I started messing around with the product along with him. And I actually started producing a marketable product.
How far are we? Okay, go ahead.
I started playing with the idea of making it, and I started making a marketable product. And Ken Ken was working with
Yeah, I was
me,
working and I was using his Marco product.
and he was using my product, and he says,
Yeah.
what about making it in coconut oil? I said, if you want to do it, you go do it. I'm busy enough. And I did it mainly to, I had a mom with Alzheimer's, and I'd done the
Right.
research on the test. And my mom had Alzheimer's and was 88 years old. And I left Think Tank in Blue On in
Yeah.
California and came home because I wanted to see what I could do with my mother. And Ken was coming back and forth to California to work with me at the Think Tank. And we created the product and gave it to my mom. And in 90 days, she got her driver's license.
No way.
Yeah. And so
At
then
88?
at 88, and she lived to be 96 and drove the entire time, had a car,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
and
That's impressive.
in 90 days. So everybody in the small town saw her go from being led around to driving their own vehicle.
No,
And they were
know.
calling me saying, hey, your mom's over here, you know, eating by herself. And I said, well, ask her. And they did. And so that started. And then Ken, like I said, spun off and started making
He's like a
coconut.
salesman.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
he started making coconut oil, and we worked together in unison. There's plenty
Yeah.
of the market, you know, we haven't even scratched the
Yeah,
surface.
we did avocado oil too.
Yeah.
One of the things was because I was getting it for various suppliers in olive oil. You know, olive oil is kind of harsh, and I have a sensitive digestive system, so I took like an ounce of olive oil. You know, well, I'm going to be visiting the bathroom.
That can be
Where did my C60 go?
Exactly.
So I also put it in avocado oil, which is easily digestible. The oils, if you look at the fat profile of human breast milk, in the area that is for avocado oil, it's almost identical.
Right.
So it's much
That's
easier
most
digestible.
closer to the human
Yeah,
skin
that's what I
use for
oil and
cooking
everything.
stuff, yeah.
So
And then I went on to do black seed and curcumin and gel caps. And I think I have 5 patents and 4 in queue. And I've created facial products, eye drops, hair regrowth. I mean,
Really?
oh yeah, I've got a
It works.
plethora. Yeah. and Pam takes eye drops.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so
And eye drops to improve your eyesight?
Well, yeah, they're because it's an antioxidant. It will get in there and get rid of those
I need that.
see things, cataract. You can cut that out, and so it'll actually go.
we actually
through
have
and
Dr. Loretta who
Yeah.
had both signs of macular degeneration, the dry
Oh.
and the wet.
Yeah,
Right, right.
And after the only difference in her life, I don't want to make claims, the only difference in her life was taking my product and using my eye drops. And she teaches at the university in Denver and doesn't wear glasses and is not blind. So
oh yeah,
do the math. I mean, it's not,
and you got to see the before and after pictures.
yeah, of the
Uh,
actual structure of her eye.
Yeah, we've been having some like difficulties with the FDA, so probably have to take it down. But
Right.
like one of the persons when the metal oxygen fusion reactor, which is Max, was part of that too. We had I was using it, and after it was done, I kept taking a little bit of C60. So when I went in and my macular dry Drew's macular degeneration
Right.
had disappeared. Now Gary Rodriguez, he was the electrical engineer on the project, and he by that time, because he's Hispanic, he's got type 2 diabetes, and that causes like severe wet macular degeneration. He had all kinds of horrible lesions on the inside of his eyeballs. We have the pictures. He took like 1 tablespoon of C60 and MCT coconut oil for a year. And look, you can see the before and after pictures on Eyes on C60 at C60 Purple Power channel. You better get it quick and download it because that's all going to be scraped soon because the big boys have discovered the benefits of C60 and they are going to,
Well, my patent attorney said when I started my patents, other than Fatih Masal, who did the early research with the toxicity of C60 overseas, other than him, there wasn't anybody that had one. And when I started doing my patents, there was nothing out there. My patent attorney says every time we go in there, there's thousands filed by big pharmaceuticals.
Sure.
It's not our competition or anybody that's duplicated the path that we've created. It's by big boys. And
For sure they're coming.
Yeah, but the thing is, pristine C60 is found in nature. It's created by giant red stars. It cannot be patented. But if you take C60 and you can attach a ligand to it,
Sure.
and then attach
Well,
a drug to that.
Right.
And it has this amazing ability to go through the human digestive tract or the hydrochloric acid of the stomach and not be broken down.
Right.
So probably in the future, instead of having HCl drugs, it's going to have it'll have C60. So the big pharmaceuticals, they're cut. Do we want to have people have pristine C60? Maybe not. But then if we go after them too bad, then all these thousands of farm patents we had could go down too. So it's one of those catch-22 situations. No, I mean, what can you do? I mean, they're like,
It's like everything else in society right now. Look at the picture. Where are we at?
There's so much chaos. I think you're fine, actually.
Yeah, I'm a fly on the wall versus the elephant in the yard.
Yeah. Well, listen, you guys, it's been great having you on Reality Check, our first live broadcast. And so thank you very much. And Purple Power.
Yep. And Live Longer Labs.
Live Longer Labs.
C60 Purple Power, Live
And
Longer Labs.
we'll put links in the
That's
description and everything. And so definitely take the C60. Well, everybody, thank you for watching our first live broadcast. I'm Jay Weidner. Hit subscribe and like and all that other stuff. Hit the bell. And this is Reality Check. And we are out of here.